Libra darling, God is sending you a miracle. A wealthy life is unfolding before you, and someone real and steady is meant to enjoy it right alongside you. That's not a metaphor, not wishful thinking, and certainly not random. This is a divine appointment. You didn't land on this video by chance. Something greater led you here. Whether you call it the universe, the hand of God, or simply your intuition whispering, it's time you listen deeper because the shift that's happening now in your life is sacred. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where we don't just read cards, we read the language of your soul. In the next few minutes, you'll receive a message channeled specifically for Libra souls who are on the verge of stepping into a new reality. Not just financially but emotionally, spiritually, relationally. This is about alignment. This is about readiness. This is about finally becoming the version of yourself who no longer begs for love or stability because you live and breathe it. The light around you is changing, Libra. Your energy is no longer attracting chaos or compromise, it's attracting clarity and divine companionship. You're not meant to build this next chapter alone. You're meant to share the harvest of everything you've overcome. And yes, someone is being sent to walk beside you, not to rescue you, but to co-create with you. Now let me ask you something. What has been pulling at your spirit lately? That quiet nudge in your chest? That strange alignment of signs, numbers, dreams? They're not coincidences. They're confirmations. You're being positioned for provision. For partnership. For peace. And that's exactly why this reading today was divinely timed for you. This is not just a reading. This is an invitation. An initiation. A reminder of who you are and the truth that miracles don't require perfection. They only require readiness and receptivity. So as we begin, I want you to pause and ground into this moment. Breathe deeply. Let go of what didn't work, who didn't show up, and what exhausted you. Because right now, something is arriving. And it's wrapped in grace, provision, and quiet power. Please, before we go further, take a moment to anchor this energy. In the comments, write this affirmation: I open to receive divine abundance and the one who is meant to walk with me. This isn't for the algorithm. This is for your spirit. Writing it anchors it. And trust me, I've seen over and over again how this simple act becomes a turning point for so many souls. And let me take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every view, every like, every subscription, every thoughtful comment, it's not just support, it's sacred participation. It's how this message finds the hearts that need it. You are a vital part of this space. And I thank you from the bottom of mine. Libra, stay with me until the very last word of this reading. Because what the divine is revealing today is nothing short of miraculous. Now tell me in the comments what drew you here today. What part of your soul was searching for this? I'd love to know, and I read every word. Let's begin. You may not have noticed it right away, but something deep within you has already begun to shift. Not just on the outside where bills are finally being paid, where paperwork starts to move again, or where long-paused projects seem to come back to life, but within the quiet architecture of your inner world, where alignment begins not with effort, but with surrender. The astrology this month reveals a profound energetic dialogue between Venus, the planet of love, self-worth, and values, and Saturn, the wise teacher who governs structure, timing, and karmic responsibility. When these two celestial forces meet in supportive harmony, it often signals a sacred turning point, the moment when the love you've cultivated within yourself finally becomes stable enough to be reflected back in the physical world. This is not the kind of shift that announces itself with fanfare. There are no fireworks. No dramatic awakenings. Instead, it arrives in subtle, grounded ways, like a contract being approved, a delayed payment suddenly releasing, or the end of a financial burden that once weighed heavily on your spirit. But more importantly, this moment doesn't reward what you've done in hustle or overextension. It rewards the version of you that has quietly matured. The one who now chooses calm over chaos. Who knows that clarity is a form of abundance. And who is learning, slowly but surely, that wealth is not just measured in numbers but in freedom, dignity, and choice. The Ten of Pentacles, the card that rises for you in this reading, is a beautiful and complex affirmation. It speaks not only of legacy and financial stability but also of long-term vision, of creating a life that supports not just yourself but those you love and care for. It's the kind of energy that invites you to think beyond survival and into sustainability. And that, Libra, is what this season is asking of you, to move from short-term fixes into long-term alignment. To move from working harder to living wiser. From pleasing others to choosing yourself with grace. You are not being asked to prove anything. You are being asked to trust that the decisions you've been making, from managing your finances differently to saying no to what drains you, are already shifting your vibration. Even if you don't see the full results yet, the foundation has been laid. And this reading is your confirmation that the structure is holding. That the spiritual and emotional architecture you've been building is finally strong enough to support real abundance in the physical realm. There's a kind of sacred timing that doesn't require striving, it simply asks for readiness. And right now, your chart, your cards, your circumstances, they all speak to readiness. Not the frantic kind that tries to force blessings to appear, but the quiet kind that clears space, says no with peace, and trusts that what's aligned will find its way to your doorstep. Sometimes the most divine thing you can do is to stay present. To not rush into the future, but to prepare for it by honoring the moment you're in now. When life slows down and opens a window like this, it's often a direct invitation to align not just with action, but with trust. Many people pray for miracles while still gripping onto fear, but the real miracle comes when you loosen your grip. When you let go of the version of you that needs to control it all, and begin to embody the version that simply receives what flows. And that, too, is a kind of faith. A deeply human, deeply grounded faith that doesn't require you to be perfect, just willing. So if you've been wondering whether the waiting has been worth it, this is your answer. The universe responds to those who prepare with quiet devotion, and who honor small progress as sacred. What you're seeing now is not random. It's the reward of becoming someone who chooses balance over chaos, integrity over urgency, and faith over fear. Keep building your life from that energy, Libra, and watch what flourishes in its wake. What if the next chapter of your life isn't about doing more, proving more, or fixing what was broken? What if it's about letting yourself be seen, supported, and simply met where you are? Libra, this season of your soul is gently calling in someone whose presence won't demand that you shrink or stretch. This is not someone arriving to complete you or carry your burdens, but someone arriving with their own stability, maturity, and intent. I own a true companion who brings peace rather than pressure. Their energy feels like exhale. Like stillness after the storm. Like knowing you can be silent next to them and still feel deeply heard. In the language of the tarot, this is the energy of the King or Queen of Pentacles, not flashy or impulsive, but grounded, reliable, and real. This person may not come with grand declarations, but their presence alone shifts the energy in your field. You feel yourself breathing deeper, thinking clearer, wanting more for your future, not from a place of desperation, but from inspiration. They don't try to fix your pain. They simply stand beside you, unafraid of your depth, uninterested in controlling your path, and genuinely devoted to walking in rhythm with your growth. And if you're wondering why this person is showing up now, why not earlier? Why not when you were still breaking? Consider this. It's not because you weren't lovable before. It's because now, you've cultivated enough clarity to receive a love that reflects who you've become, not who you had to be in survival mode. There's a difference. This is a chapter for reciprocity, not rescue. For mutual effort, not emotional labor. Perhaps this person has been in your life already, but at a distance. Someone who didn't have the capacity to meet you then, but returns now with more emotional availability, with a sense of timing that finally aligns. Or maybe this is someone entirely new, drawn into your life not by random coincidence, but by the gravitational pull of the emotional clarity you've been cultivating. Either way, their presence doesn't trigger your anxiety. It calms it. And that, Libra, is your new standard. This energy invites you to soften, not because you're retreating into weakness, but because you're finally in an environment that allows you to stop defending your heart. When you no longer have to overfunction to feel safe in love, you realize how much life you were missing while trying to earn what was never meant to be conditional. This is a relationship where love is not proven by how much pain you can endure, but how freely you can be yourself. In moments like this, I often think about the ways we're guided even when we're not aware of it. Sometimes, the people who arrive in our lives at the right moment are not just answers to our prayers, they are reflections of the faith we've built quietly, over time. In the busy noise of daily life, we may lose track of the prayers we whisper under our breath, the tears we shed behind closed doors. But nothing is ever unseen. The good you've done, the growth you've walked through, the dignity you chose when no one clapped for it. It echoes. It sends a signal. And that signal has now reached someone aligned. It's okay if you don't know how to receive this kind of relationship yet. All that's asked of you is this: observe how you feel around them. Pay attention to the version of you that emerges in their presence. If you find yourself wanting to be better, not to be enough, but because you finally feel safe enough to bloom, then maybe, just maybe, you've met someone whose love speaks the same language as your healing. And when it does, there's no need to ask how much they love you. The answer is already written in the way you breathe easier, speak truer, and dream bolder when they're near. That is the kind of love you've grown toward, and now, Libra, it's coming to meet you. There's a quiet kind of power that emerges when you begin to reclaim your space, not just the physical room you live in, but the energetic field you inhabit every day. Libra, for someone as attuned to harmony as you are, chaos doesn't need to be loud to be damaging. Even subtle imbalance, an unpaid bill lingering in the back of your mind, a cluttered corner in your home, a skipped meal you call no big deal, these things quietly drain your sense of sovereignty. That's why this moment is not asking you to do more, but to reframe what it means to truly care for yourself. This part of your journey is less about chasing abundance and more about constructing the kind of inner and outer world where abundance knows it's welcome. Just as a beautifully balanced home invites peace, a well-organized inner world becomes a magnet for opportunities, stability, and support. Not because the universe suddenly becomes more generous, but because you become more available to receive. There's a significant difference between wishing for better and preparing for better. In astrology, Libra is ruled by Venus, planet of value, beauty, and self-worth. But Venus doesn't just speak in aesthetics, she speaks in systems that honor what is truly important. The energy around you now invites you to take inventory of your life in the most loving and gentle way possible. Where is your energy going? What part of your day supports your future self? Which habits nourish you, and which simply numb the noise? Start with your surroundings. The place you rest, eat, create, and breathe should not compete with your peace. It should reflect it. That's why simple steps like budgeting in 4 mindful categories: housing, protection, growth, and joy are less about controlling money and more about creating sacred flow. You deserve to feel safe. You deserve to feel prepared. You also deserve to enjoy your life without guilt. There is nothing frivolous about pleasure when it is intentional and heart-aligned. You're not being asked to be perfect. You're simply being invited to stop the leaks, those small, daily oversights that slowly chip away at your clarity. Whether it's the habit of skipping meals while chasing deadlines, or the way you silence your needs to avoid conflict, these patterns add up. And slowly, they teach your nervous system to survive instead of thrive. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to begin with presence. A gentle 60-day plan, canceling what no longer serves you, renegotiating what drains you, creating a fresh stream of support can work miracles, not because it changes the world outside you, but because it tells your brain, your body, and your energy field, I am safe to build. I am safe to rest. I am safe to receive. I often remind those I guide that real transformation rarely comes with dramatic fanfare. It arrives in the discipline of quiet adjustments, the rituals that keep you anchored when life wants to pull you in 1,000 directions. Whether it's meal prepping instead of skipping lunch, turning off your phone an hour before bed to protect your sleep, or setting aside 30 minutes once a week to face your finances with clarity, these are not small acts. These are declarations of self-respect. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by where to begin, remember this: the way we treat our responsibilities is often the way we treat our faith in what's possible. You don't need more time, more money, or more external control to feel steady. What you need is a deeper sense of consistency and compassion toward yourself. Build with that. Reconstruct your rhythms with kindness. And know that every small choice you make to protect your peace sends a powerful message to the universe. I am ready for more, not by force, but by alignment. When patterns repeat themselves in our lives, it's not a punishment, it's a divine invitation to rise above what once kept us stuck. If you, dear Libra, have recently sensed an old energy circling back, a familiar face, a complicated conversation, a vague invitation that makes your soul hesitate, it's not just coincidence. It's a sacred checkpoint. You are not being pulled backward, you're being presented with a mirror. One that reflects who you were when this story first played out, and more importantly, who you are now. This moment is not about the person returning. It's about the boundaries you've spent months, or even years, learning to uphold. It's about how your nervous system no longer contracts under pressure to please, how your voice doesn't tremble when you say no, and how your schedule is no longer a playground for emotional chaos. If someone reappears in your orbit with unclear intentions, sudden expectations, or energy that unsettles your rhythm, you don't have to explain yourself endlessly or sacrifice your peace to accommodate their confusion. Your growth doesn't demand a loud confrontation, it simply requires clarity. Clarity in your decisions, your actions, and your alignment with what you know now to be true. You are no longer the version of yourself who doubted whether setting limits meant you were cold or unkind. You now understand that real compassion includes being honest about your capacity and your priorities. The challenge isn't about resisting the other persona, it's about staying rooted in the person you've become. We often underestimate how powerful it is to quietly choose ourselves. Not out of rebellion, not out of ego, but out of deep reverence for our own path. Sometimes, the most powerful closure doesn't come with a grand exit, it comes in the form of a calm, kind refusal to reopen a door that once wounded you. And sometimes, it looks like blessing that person silently, and choosing not to engage at all. In this stage of your transformation, it's useful to remember that the divine intelligence of the universe often allows a test to revisit us, not to trick us, but to certify our growth. Think of it like a final review before graduation. The old version of you might have bent your schedule, swallowed your needs, or softened your no into a maybe. But now, you are allowed to say, "Thank you for the offer, but that no longer works for me." And that sentence, so simple, so grounded, is actually the loudest declaration of your evolution. One of the greatest modern miracles I've witnessed is when someone walks away from an old pattern, not because they hate the past, but because they've made peace with it. I've seen people heal decades of generational guilt by calmly stepping away from dynamics that no longer honor their peace. That's divine work. That's what spiritual maturity looks like, not dramatic exits, but inner alignment. So ask yourself, if this situation arises again, what would the healed version of you do? Could you hold your ground without closing your heart? Could you maintain compassion without betraying your truth? Could you honor your boundaries without making someone else the villain? You have nothing to prove. You only have clarity to protect. And clarity, dear Libra, is your new compass. If this resonates with you, I invite you to comment below. I protect my peace with grace and clarity. Let that be your energetic declaration, your way of anchoring this growth in your reality. Sometimes, after the storm of returning challenges and inner tests, there comes a moment of stillness, quiet, but filled with awe. And Libra, you've reached that sacred turning point. You're no longer being asked to prove your worth, to over-explain your heart, or to justify your boundaries. Instead, you're now being gently asked to receive something that might feel more unfamiliar than you expect. Because for most of your life, you've known how to give. You've mastered the sacred art of holding space for others, of keeping the peace, of showing up with grace even when your spirit felt worn down. But now, the balance is shifting in your favor, not as a reward for exhaustion, but as a natural consequence of your alignment. There's no need to hustle for your blessings anymore. You don't have to feel guilty for slowing down. What's coming to you is not a transaction, it's a restoration. It's not compensation, it's completion. This is the space where quiet miracles arrive. Somewhere deep within you, there's a prayer you whispered on a day you were ready to give up. God, I don't want to feel like I'm barely surviving anymore. And though you may not have seen an immediate reply, the energy of that prayer began unfolding in divine timing. The life you longed for is not just possible, it's now probable. And Libra, the universe is orchestrating details behind the scenes that will soon make you realize the blessing was never denied. It was simply being prepared in your size, your shape, and your pace. What's being revealed to you in this season is a blessing with structure and integrity. Not a fleeting gift, but a sustainable shift. Imagine a financial opportunity that doesn't just excite you but grounds you. It aligns with your ethics, respects your time, and honors your talents. That's what's emerging now. And right beside it, a persona drama, no confusion, no ego battles. Just a steady, emotionally safe presence who wants to walk alongside you, not ahead or behind. This connection doesn't force growth, it allows it. And perhaps even more sacred than both of those? A lifestyle that makes your nervous system exhale. A home, a rhythm, a flow that doesn't just help you survive but actually makes you want to live. But Libra, for all of this to land fully into your life, you must let go of the old identity that said you had to earn love through struggle. That belief is expired. It has nothing left to teach you. Receiving is not a betrayal of your humility, it is the final act of grace. Today, I invite you to do something powerful. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just a quiet declaration to the universe and to yourself. Write these words with your hand, or whisper them with your breath. Today, I choose a life of abundance with order, love, and integrity. Let this be your opening note for the next chapter. Because what you're about to walk into isn't a reward for past pain, it's a reflection of your current readiness. And if any part of your soul feels seen or affirmed in this message, share your heart in the comments. What blessing are you ready to receive without guilt, without delay? This is a safe space for you to claim it aloud. Let your voice align with the vibration of your miracle. This moment, Libra, is not an end. It's a gentle beginning. Libra, your blessing is ready, but you must rise to meet it. Not with struggle, not with desperation, but with the quiet dignity of someone who has remembered who they are. Sometimes we wait for a miracle to burst through the sky, but in truth, the divine rarely shouts. It whispers. It shows up in the calm conviction that you're finally allowed to say yes to what you once thought was too good to be true. You see, this transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about removing the weight of old expectations, so you can stand in the fullness of who you've always been. That's why every act of self-respect you've taken lately, no matter how small, has already been shaping the world around you. The email you didn't answer. The person you chose not to chase. The budget you started paying attention to. The nights you prayed not just for relief, but for alignment. That's not passivity. That's power. And now, Libra, you're being asked to trust one more thing, your readiness. Yes, the blessing is real. Yes, the support is here. But it's waiting on your yes. It's waiting for your permission to enter, not because you need to prove anything, but because abundance always honors consent. Just like the universe never forces light where we insist on holding shadows, it also won't force blessings where we're still clinging to fear. So pause for a moment. What are you still gripping onto that whispers, you don't deserve it yet? Can you release it now, not because you're perfect, but because you've suffered long enough under the illusion that struggle equals worth? The truth is, miracles are often quiet because they want to be received, not chased. And the greatest sign of spiritual maturity is the ability to sit in stillness, to say, I welcome this without fear, and to act with the grace of someone who knows they're loved truly, deeply, eternally loved. Libra, your miracle won't arrive like a lottery ticket. It will arrive like a door you finally feel safe enough to walk through. Maybe today is the day you knock. Maybe today is the day you open it. So now, I lovingly ask you, what would change if you truly believed this life was made for you? If you knew that the struggle wasn't the whole story, but only the opening scene to a destiny filled with divine favor, sacred clarity, and wealth both spiritual and material? Let yourself reflect. And when you're ready, declare it by commenting, "I am ready to live abundantly with order, love, and integrity." Your words are seeds. Speak them with faith. Thank you, beautiful soul, for spending this sacred moment with me on Zodiac Whisper Tarot. If this message stirred something within you, something hopeful, something brave, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your fellow Libras. Because no one should have to rise into abundance alone. Let's rise together.